Good morning, everyone. Here it is Friday, and just before Labor Day weekend, welcome back to Morning Musings. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute. I appreciate you being with me. Hope you got a great weekend planned. Please be safe. Okay, I'm continuing to share some thoughts with you on the resurrection. I'm sharing thoughts with you not only about the nature of the resurrection, but as well as the timing of the resurrection as stated in Scripture. And Paul's doctrine of the resurrection is without any doubt drawn from the Old Testament, specifically the chapters of Isaiah through 24 through 27, as he himself states in 1 Corinthians 15. Well, I would like to pay particular attention to Isaiah 26. I'm going to read this for you, verse 19 through 21. As Isaiah continues his discussion of the resurrection that he's predicted back in what we call chapter 25, verse 8. But he says, speaking of Yahweh, your dead shall live. Together with my dead body they shall arise. Awake and sing, you who dwell in the dust, for your dew is like the dew of herbs, and the earth shall cast out the dead. Come, my people, enter your chambers, shut your doors behind you. Hide yourself, as it were, for a little moment, until the indignation is past. For behold, the Lord comes out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth will also disclose her blood, and will no more cover her slain. Well, here we have the prediction of the resurrection of, quote, the body. It is the resurrection out of the dust. It is a resurrection at the coming of the Lord, at the destruction of the earth. It is the time of the resurrection when the martyrs of God would be vindicated. The earth will disclose her blood and will no longer cover her slain. Now, while there are many, many things that we could examine from this text, I want you to notice the direct correlation between resurrection, coming of the Lord, and the vindication of the martyrs. Oh, by the way, notice the coming out of the dust. Remember what Daniel said? Many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall arise, some to everlasting life, some to everlasting shame. When? When the power of the people's, holy people's completely shattered. Daniel 12, verse 7. Perfectly parallel passages. As a matter of fact, Isaiah is probably the source for Daniel chapter 12. Be that as it may, look again at the motif of resurrection at the time of the coming of the Lord for the vindication of the martyrs. This is in perfect harmony with Revelation chapter 20, in which you have the beginning of the resurrection, of which Christ was the first fruits, Revelation 21-4, and you have the consummation of the resurrection in Revelation 20, 10-12, which is the time of the vindication of the martyrs. The great question, therefore, is, since the resurrection of Isaiah chapter 26, which is the resurrection of Isaiah 25, which in turn is the resurrection of 1 Corinthians 15 and Revelation chapter 20, the resurrection of Isaiah 26 is the end of the millennium resurrection. The resurrection of Isaiah 26 is when the martyrs of God would be vindicated. Jesus said that all of the righteous blood of all of the righteous shed on the earth from righteous Abel to Zacharias son of Barachias, and including Jesus' apostles and prophets, would be vindicated and judged in his generation. Matthew 23, 29-37. Now, are the dead mentioned in Isaiah 26, 19-21, included within that comprehensive number of the martyrs of Matthew 23? If not, where's the exegetical foundation and evidence to exclude them from that judgment and that vindication? Furthermore, where is the exegetical evidence to exclude them from the martyrs of Revelation 6, from the martyrs of Revelation 12, from the martyrs of Revelation 16, and from the martyrs of Revelation chapter 20? There is no justification for setting them outside the boundaries. There is no justification for saying, well, yes, you have justification of martyrs, sort of, kind of, maybe, somehow, in AD 70 in Jesus' generation. Oh, but Isaiah is speaking of something different, and Revelation is speaking of something different, and 1 Corinthians 15 is speaking of something different. Really? Once again, where's the exegetical evidence for that exclusion, for that distinction of hermeneutic between what Isaiah is predicting and what Jesus said? Folks, the evidence is just not there. So, the resurrection of Isaiah 26 is the resurrection of Isaiah 25, the resurrection at the end of the millennium, Revelation chapter 20. The resurrection of Isaiah chapter 26 is the end of the millennium resurrection, in other words. But the resurrection of Isaiah chapter 26 is the time of the vindication of the blood of the martyrs. The vindication of the blood of the martyrs would be in the judgment of Jerusalem in AD 70, Matthew 23, 29 to 37. Therefore, the resurrection of Isaiah 26, Isaiah 25, Revelation chapter 20 was in AD 70. It seems to me that it's about time we accept the biblical testimony of when the resurrection was to be. Hey, thanks again for joining me. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Labor Day weekend. Hope to see you on the flip side. God bless.